Hello, everyone. This is Stephen Balch, an instructor for Intro to Microeconomics online at Ozarka College. Today, what I'm going to do is go over with you um, what I was looking for on question 3 on the assignment for chapters 5 and 6. On question 3 on the assignment, a few of you had some problems explaining the relationship between marginal utility and total utility. So I'm going to take a few minutes to kind of go through the PowerPoint slides here for chapter 6, or at least some of them, and uh, hopefully explain the relationship so that you can better understand it. Okay. So the first thing is from the chapter, you learn that total utility is the total satisfaction that's derived from consumption. All right. Whereas marginal utility is the change in total utility as we uh, consume each additional unit of a particular good within a particular time period. Okay. So total utility is just the total satisfaction. Marginal utility is how much additional satisfaction we're getting with each additional unit of a particular good consumed. Okay. All right. That brings us to the law of diminishing marginal utility, which says that the more of a good a person consumes per period, per time period, the smaller the increase in total utility, other things constant. Okay. So basically, what it's saying is the marginal utility, as we consume each additional unit of a particular good, um, marginal utility is going to decline. In other words, the additional satisfaction that we get from each additional unit that we consume is going to fall. Okay, we're going to get less and less additional utility as we consume more of the same good within a specific time period. And eventually, marginal utility may become negative. It doesn't have to, but in some cases, it may turn negative, which means that the consumer is experiencing disutility. All right. As long as marginal utility is positive, as long as it's a positive number and we're getting at least some additional satisfaction from each additional unit of the good, then total utility is going to increase. Okay. As long as marginal utility is positive, a positive number, total utility is going to increase, but it's going to increase at a decreasing rate because of the law of diminishing marginal utility. All right. And then once marginal utility becomes negative, the consumer experiences disutility, and what happens to total utility is that it falls. Okay. All right. So let's move on here. So again, measuring utility. Utility is just the numerical value that we place on uh, the satisfaction that we're getting from consumption of a particular good. And it's very subjective because, for example, um, my utility for a particular good is going to be different from yours. And for example, I don't like mushrooms at all. Some of you in the class do, I'm sure. So my utility or satisfaction that I get from eating mushrooms and the utility values are going to be much different than what your utility values would look like if you do like mushrooms. So each of us as consumers, we like certain goods. We consume certain goods because we like them, because they give us satisfaction. And then there are other goods that we don't consume because they don't give us any satisfaction. So because each consumer is unique in what they like and dislike and what gives them satisfaction or not, each person's utility scale is going to be different for each type of good. Okay, so kind of keep that in mind as well. And of course, again, total utility is the sum of all the marginal utilities. All right, so that brings us to the table here. That's this exhibit 1 is also in your book. What they're showing you here is the utility table for water consumption. And you'll notice from the very beginning right after that first glass of water is consumed, the total utility increases, but at a decreasing rate. Okay, so marginal utility, we're getting 40 units of utility from that first glass of water, and the second glass of water is only giving us 20 units of utility, and then the third's giving us 10, and so forth, until you get down to the fifth glass of water, and we're actually getting some negative marginal utility from that last one. And in that case, total utility, that's where total utility starts to decline. So again, marginal utility is going to decline from the very first unit of consumption. Right after that first unit is consumed, between the first and second unit, marginal utility is going to fall, okay, because of the law of diminishing marginal utility. And since marginal utility is falling, but still positive, as long as it's still positive, total utility is going to increase, but at a decreasing rate. And then once marginal utility becomes negative, in other words, where we experience disutility, which is with the fifth glass of water in this case, that's where total utility declines. All right. So if we take all those numbers from the table and plug them into a graph, a bar graph, this is what it would look like. So we have total utility on the top here. This is Exhibit 2 in your book, also in the PowerPoint slides. So total utility is in the top there, labeled A, and then marginal utility is at the bottom, labeled B. Okay, so if you'll notice here, move that down just a little bit where we can see it better. That you'll notice that total utility increases at first as long as the marginal utility is a positive number. All right, now, with each additional unit of consumption here of water, each additional glass of water, what you need to look at is what's happening to total utility with that first glass and second glass and so forth, and then the corresponding change in marginal utility. All right, so you'll notice that marginal utility declines from the very beginning because of the law of diminishing marginal utility. And you'll notice that from that first unit of consumption, total utility increases, but at a decreasing rate, until eventually with that fifth glass of water, the consumption of that fifth glass, that's where marginal utility is now negative. All right, so we're experiencing disutility, and that's where total utility starts to decline. Okay, so the basic idea here is that since total utility is just the basic sum of all the marginal utilities, there is a direct relationship between the two, and the basic idea is that as long as marginal utility is a positive number, total utility is going to increase, okay, because we're adding more satisfaction or utility to the total. All right, but then once marginal utility becomes negative, that's where total utility starts to fall. So I just thought I would explain that a little bit more, because some of you had some problems explaining that on the assignment. Okay, and that's really all I have for you. So look over this if you're one of those students that had some problems understanding this on the assignment. Hopefully after watching this video, it will help you to better understand it. But if you still have questions about it, just let me know, and I'll be glad to explain it further. But hopefully that helped you, and that's all I have for you. So I will talk to you in the next video. Thank you.